The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Good morning, everyone. At this time, we're excited to welcome everyone on to our weekly head football coaches teleconference. And as always, we will go by the order of coaches that we have in prior weeks. We'll now first begin the call by recapping scores from around the Southwestern Athletic Conference for games played on Saturday, November 2nd. Alabama State defeated Mississippi Valley State on Saturday by a score of 27-0. Grambling State defeated Texas Southern by a score of 55-20. The Southern Jaguars defeated Alabama A&M by a score of 35-31. And Jackson State Tigers defeated Arkansas Pine Bluff by a score of 21-12. We'll now be joined by our first head coach of the day. That'll be none other than Coach Maynor with Alabama A&M. Do we have Coach Maynor on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, good morning to you, Coach. As always, thank you for joining us on the call. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent game against, Coach, Southern University.
Yeah, we had to travel on the road, go to Southern. It was their homecoming. Had a great crowd, probably 25,000 to 30,000, and a hostile environment. And we knew it was going to be a tough game. You know, Coach Odom always have his guys coached up, ready to go. They play hard in all three phases of the football game, and they took the ball and went right down and scored on us, and took us up a couple of possessions, and we finally tied the game up to 7. And then they went right back down right before half and took the lead back and took a 14-7 lead at halftime. We got the ball coming out and took it down and scored and tied it up. And they kept going back and forth. They scored and we scored, make it 21-21, and then they scored, made it 28. We scored and tied it, and we finally got a stop. And we got a field goal to go ahead with 4 minutes and 20 seconds in the game, 31-28. And they went on a drive, and they got a score with 28 seconds left to go ahead by 4 points and not leave enough time. But, it was a great football game, and, you got to take your hats off to Coach Odom and his staff and his team. They played hard. They never gave up. And they made one more play than we did at the end.
Hey, Coach, good morning. It's Ty Miller calling from Power News and Sports Radio now.
Good morning, Ty. How you doing?
I'm good, Coach. Let's talk about going down the stretch here where you still have an outside shot to win the East, and every game is now in crucial game at this part of the season. So have you spoken to the team about that, and what's their focus?
Yeah, Ty, we still got a lot to play for. We trying for our second straight winning season, and we can win out. We can get 8 wins, 8-4, and then we're going to need some help. So right now all we can do is control what we can control, and that's to win these last 3, and then we need some help, of course, from Alcorn, losing either to Grambling or Jackson State. So that's where we are right now. We know where we at. We still got a lot to play for, and our guys going to come out and play hard for the next 3 games.
So speaking of Jackson State, they play really well, especially the last 3 ball games. What have you seen in that team that might be the difference maker in terms of how they played in October as opposed to early September?
They probably just found their identity, Ty. They probably identify what they do well and what they don't, and what their players can do, and the best coverages and defenses and offensive plays, and now they probably running the plays that their players run the best, and the defenses that they players execute the best. And they flying around, man. They making plays, they hitting people. I'm watching their preview game right now, and that defense is flying around, man. And they're a different team. They playing with some confidence.
So, Coach, can you talk about their quarterback, the freshman Jalen Jones, and the job he's done, and what you've seen on tape about him that makes you have cause for concern?
Well, he's dangerous, Ty. He's only a freshman, so that's probably another reason why they're playing a little bit better now, because, at this point in the year, you always tell your freshman you're not a freshman no more. You're a sophomore now. So he's probably had some growing pains early, and he's learned from those things, and he knows what to expect now. He knows the speed of the game. And he's an athlete, so he can hurt you with his legs, man. And anytime you got a quarterback that can do that, those guys are dangerous. And so he poses a serious threat.
All throughout the year, you've talked about your game, about your team, rather, finishing when they need to. Would that be a situation that took place this past weekend, and Did you talk about that going into this game against the Tigers?
Yeah, Ty, my guys never gave up because every time, they scored first and we tied, they would come right back down and score to take the momentum back, and then we were tied, and we kept looking for that stop. And we finally got it when it was 28-28 in the fourth quarter, and then we went down and scored. So, we took that lead, but now that's when somebody got to step up and make a play on the defensive side of the ball, punch the ball out, pick the ball off, get a stop, and get off the field, and we run the clock out and win the game. So, we was right there with a chance, and we just didn't make the play at that last drive that we need to make. So, you got to take your hats off to those guys. They made the plays they had to make to win the game, and we didn't. But we're right there, Ty. You're right. We got to learn how to finish. We got to learn how to finish.
Last question for me, Coach. Coach Hendricks said his team is peaking at the right time. Has your team played its best game yet?
I don't think so, Ty. I think we played some good games. I think we played, 2 or 3 good quarters, but I don't think we put 4 quarters together yet. We either offensively come out slow or the defense come out slow, or, we have a bad second quarter. Normally we don't have pretty good third quarters and fourth quarters, but we got to learn how to come out and play in the first quarter and second quarter and put 4 quarters together. So, no, I don't think we had our best, most complete game yet this year.
Thanks, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Ty.
Luke Williams on the Black College Sports Stage. Connell, good morning.
Good morning, Luke.
What was so hard about Stockton? He ran for 230-plus yards.
He's a big guy, Luke. They ran some option with him, and they got us some option plays, and then it was just a lot of it. Most of it really came from dropping back the pass, and the guy he didn't see. Thought the guy was wide open, so he pulled it down and ran. We had a spy a couple of times, and we still didn't stop him. But yeah, most of it came from it was a regular pass play call, and he pulled it down and ran a couple of times and got like 30, 40-yard runs on him. And then a couple of them came from options where we missed our assignment one time, and then a couple other times he made some great runs and cut back one time on us when we over-pursued. So he's a great athlete, and, you run those quarterback runs, you got extra blockers sometimes, Luke. So they did some of that, had extra blockers on us, and got some yards rushing that way. And then some was just from the pass, and then they had some on the option play that they ran. So they did a good job of scheming us with him and having that extra blocker in the running game. We did a little bit better in the second half. It really cost us.
Talk about your quarterback's play.
Well, he played great. He played well enough for us to win the football game. He threw 4 touchdown passes. I think he was like 29 for 36, like 350 yards passing. But at the end of the day, I told him you need to throw 5 touchdowns because we lost the football game. So, he played great. He did all he could. And, Bentley had 20 carries for like 80 yards, tough yards, like 4 yards a carry. You got to take your hats off to Odom and his defense, man. They played great. They played well enough for them to win the football game. They contained Bentley, and, they got to stop when they had to.
Hey, Coach Maynard, how you doing? This is Charles Edmonds from WPRL.
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Coach, following your quarterback, Akil Glass, a kid from my hometown, St. Louis, I know he's been kind of banged up throughout the course of his career off and on. Just talk about his development as you've seen him in the couple of years that you've been there, because I think he's probably one of the more underrated quarterbacks in this league, especially when he's healthy.
Well, I don't know how he could be underrated. He led the league in passing last year, and I think he was second team all-conference, and he's leading the league this year. But he's developed. He's made tremendous developmental stages in his game from the time we got here. From the first year he was here, I think the first year he threw 4 touchdowns and 12 interceptions as a freshman. And then we came in, and last year he had the year that he had, and now this year he's having the year that he had. And I just put it to his second year in the system, and the receiving core that we have, offensive line doing a great job for him. nobody can do it by themselves. It's a team effort when you win awards and when you put up stats. You can't do it by yourself. You got to have receivers to get open. You got to have a line to block for you. But then, you got to make the right reads and make the throws, and that's what he's doing. And he really understands where we want to go with the football, what the defense is trying to do to us. His first read, his second read, his third read. The winning touchdown he threw against Alabama State, he checked it down to his third read on the goal line and swung it out to Bentley. And that won the football game for us. So his developmental stages have just continually to grow week in and week out, and his play is showing that. He's only, he's probably had 4 games or 5 games this year where he had like 7 incomplete passes out of 35, 40 attempts. So he's really spreading the ball around and know where he's going with it and got a high completion percentage because of his understanding of the game.
All right, Coach Maynard, as always, we appreciate your time on the call, sir. We look forward to speaking with you next week. We now go to Alabama State, where the Hornets defeated Mississippi Valley State by a score of 27-0. We'll now be joined by head coach Ely with the Alabama State Hornets. Do we have Coach Ely on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you for taking some time to join us on the call. And if you would, please start us out with an opening statement about your team's big win over Mississippi Valley.
Well, it was a much-needed win. Coach Dancy is doing a great job down there at Valley. Those kids played hard. We just had an opportunity to get out and on them and was able to, stay out and keep them out of the end zone. But it was, a hard-fought game. Those kids, they didn't give up. Our kids kept fighting. But, for all things considered, with what we have to work with, he's doing a great job down there with those guys, man. It was just, like I said, that's a good football team, and we was just able to hold on to win.
Coach Ely, obviously another big game for your guys this week. You'll travel there to Houston to take on Texas Southern. Preview that matchup for us, if you would, please.
Their record definitely isn't indicative of what you're seeing on tape. They're a good-looking football team, offense, defense, and special teams. They got some players across the board, and they've pretty much been in every game that they've played. It's a real good football team. Offensively, they got weapons. Quarterbacks are mobile. Receivers that they knows how to get open and make plays. After the catch. 3 good running backs. And then defensively, they probably got one of the stoutest defensive fronts that's in the conference. So, our work going to be cut out for us. We just got to find a way to, get into the game and find a way to get out with a win.
Coach, just to follow up to that, I know in speaking with Coach Fobbs last week before Grambling State hosted Texas Southern, he was just saying sometimes, obviously the most dangerous soldier is a wounded soldier. Can you just speak to the effects of obviously, having to face a team like that, not necessarily as record shows what type of team they are, but just going in there and being focused on the task at hand?
Well, it's a situation right now, when they hadn't won a game this season. And with that, it becomes, a free-for-all kind of situation where they're either going to have their best game or have their worst game. So you really don't know what to expect as you're going. But it's, again, they're back against the wall, and they're going to come out fighting. Everybody put a lot of work in this stuff, and it shows that every week those kids, they come out and they fight hard. And we're not expecting anything any different this week, that, you got a team that hadn't won a game, that this is when, they leave it all out on the line because there's nothing else left. So, we know that they're going to fight, and we have to be able to match that intensity.
Hey, Coach Ely, good morning. This is Charles Edmond from WPRL.
Good morning. Good morning, Charles.
Just talk about the resiliency of your team. I know it was a tough loss in the Magic City, the double overtime loss. Just talk about your team's ability to bounce back, because I know after losing a tough rival game, especially in the manner that you did, keeping your kids focused, motivated for another conference game. What did the Valley game say about your team's ability to bounce back?
Well, as I've been telling the team, and these are young minds and young folks, so
you have to always create teachable moments, and that A&M loss and is a teachable moment. That sometimes things just doesn't go your way, but you don't, as a man, you don't crawl up in a corner and lick your wounds. You tape yourself up and come on back out and fight again. And to be able to, for them to go down into Valley and, and Valley, like say, has us all different constraints, stay an hour and 15 minutes away because of the accommodations, then get up, drive back. It has its own constraints, just so many different things that happen before you play the game. And then for them to work through that and find a way to win, I was real impressed with that. And from that, it's going to build a lot of future leaders that's going to have a lot of resilience from them being able to respond like they responded. So I think the message will be more illustrated as these guys continue to matriculate and graduate and lead families and jobs. So much more than a game.
Coach, where are you on your quarterback situation? I know against Jackson State a few weeks ago, you're down to your third-string quarterback. Are you getting healthier in that position?
Well, Darius Davis, he's back, and Jet, he's been pretty healthy. So, those two guys have been able to manage and move us forward. So, you know how this thing is. It's late in the season. So, whatever you got at this point, ankle, eye, shoulder, whatever, tape it up, let's go.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time on the call. We look forward to speaking with you again next week. We now go to the Alcorn State Braves, where the Braves had a bye this past week, and we'll be joined by head coach Fred McNair. Do we have Coach McNair on the line?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you for taking some time to join us. If you could please just start us out, just kind of recapping you guys' bye week.
Well, the biggest thing is working hard for the first week during the bye. Just trying to get some guys healthy. Just going back to the basic stuff. Tackling. Just ball security and those things that they help you win ball games. I thought we did a great job of. And of course, the weather was kind of rough for us this past week. But we did some great things during the course of that week, getting these guys ready to prepare for Grambling. So. Good week for us. Get some guys back healthy and in preparation for this Grambling game. They on the roll right now and good winning streak and playing some good football. So we gotta be ready to play and go down to Grambling.
Coach, you already kind of started it off, but I was just going to ask you if you could just kind of preview your upcoming matchup. Obviously, a big game for you guys. In the standings, it's a conference game. But if you could just kind of preview that matchup and what you're expecting when you face Grambling.
Well, they do a lot of good things. Throwing the ball well. Hickenbottom is running the ball well. So we've got a lot of work cut for our defense. So we just got to prepare ourselves for those guys and what we're going to face on Saturday. Got a lot of speedy receivers. They know how to get on the field. So. Secondary, we just got to play basic football and cover those guys that's going down the field and do a lot of great things. Hickenbottom is a double threat, so he can run the ball, he can pass it. So we just got to prepare ourselves for that. On the defensive side of the ball, they're doing a lot of great things on the defensive side of the ball. They're tackling well and coverage-wise, they're doing a phenomenal job. Some of the things that they're doing, we just got to be able to prepare ourselves for it and get good at what we do. To face a good Grambling football team.
Coach, this is Ty Miller. Good morning to you.
What's going on, Ty?
Not much. Coach, can you talk about how exciting the game was last season when it came down to the wire?
I tell you what, it was a great football game, man. And like you said, it came down to the wire. And with the anticipation of this year, nothing different. It's going to be a good football game. You hate to see them kind of game, but those games are fun sometimes. So being in them and coming out with a victory especially. So it's going to be a hard-fought ball game. So trying to get these guys excited about it and getting ready to play. I think Coach Favre is doing a great job down there with that group, coming off a good win against Texas Southern and doing things they had to do to win that ball game. Scored a lot of points. So just watching them on film and seeing the things they can do with the football, is kind of fun to see, but, you have to be on the defense side of the ball and be prepared for it. But we just got to prepare guys for a hard-fought battle again this year.
Hey, Coach, talk about the key for your defensive linemen to really play their gaps correctly and also to play assignment football in terms of trying to contain hit bottom.
That's the basic thing last week, just get these guys to be fundamental sound, defense, gap integrity, just controlling your gaps and being able to put pressure on him, being able to tackle him. He's a big old kid, so 6'4", about 215. He's a solid football player, hard to bring down. So we just got to prepare ourselves for that and make sure we're doing the things right to tackle him and get him to the ground. So some of the things we worked on during the bye week, just fundamental stuff that we need to do to slow this guy down. I can't really stop him, but just slow him down a little bit.
Coach, I know your team is road tested, but can you talk about your experiences playing down at Grambling in these type of games?
It's been tough, and it's come to think of it. We just got to mention that a while ago to one of my guys about playing down there in Ruston. It's a tough place to play. We had our battles down there, and it hasn't been good for us down there. So hopefully we'll be able to go down there and break that trend and try to come out with a victory. But it's tough to play down in Grambling. So when you go down there, your mind got to be set to play in that atmosphere. So we got a lot to get the guys prepared for it and get ready for a good road test.
Coach McNair, obviously I know it's one game at a time, but when you look at your schedule, obviously you guys have 3 games remaining in the regular season. Grambling this week, you'll be back on your side in the Eastern Division for your final 2 games against Alabama A&M and Jackson State. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what you're preaching to your kids as you get set to come down as the home stretch, as they say in your schedule?
For the final 3 games, go 3-0 the rest of the season, and I think we'll be okay. We just go 3-0 the rest of the season. We got a real good Grambling football team. We're definitely not overlooking those guys, so we just got to prepare ourselves to win this weekend and get ready for Grambling team this week. So that's our ultimate goal. But preparing for a good Grambling football team, we definitely can't overlook.
Hey, Coach Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. How are you this morning?
All right, Luke.
So talk about your running game and the status and health of Deshaun Waller and what it will look like if you don't have him.
Well, I think we're still okay, and I think that Deshaun is doing a great job of getting himself fit and ready to play each and every week, and we still gonna run the football like we normally do, and pretty much balance right now to what we're doing now. So we're not overextending these guys and putting a lot of pressure on them to actually do more than what they can do. But Deshaun is pretty much healthy right now, and just practice this morning, and getting out, exciting to see him run and do the things he's supposed to do. So he's getting back in the fix of things where he's becoming the old Deshaun Waller last year. So being hurt this part of the year, the first part of the year was kind of big for him, not being able to play in some games, but he's getting back to right form right now, so he's doing some great things for us.
Does that mean that means he starts this week, or are you still going to bring him off the bench?
We've been starting for the last couple of weeks here lately, but he's going to play for us. Hopefully, all the guys will play for us with Duffy and Jonathan Bolton and Lou Turner. All those guys are real good running backs for us. So we just alternate them by committee, and those guys run the ball well. We just got to be able to open up some gaps and let them run through. So we'll be fine at the running back spot, I think.
Yeah, and is it safe to say, Coach, that with Deshaun battling the injury he did earlier, that you had to rely more on the pass this year, and as a result of that, is why Harper has been able to put up the kind of numbers he's put up?
No, I think what we're doing now is what the defense likes to do. In those cases, before throwing the ball and running the football, we just got to kind of like take what they give us. I mean, it just so happens just balance itself out in the end of the ball game, where we have the equal amount of runs and pass together. So I think what we do, I think what Coach Ratton is doing offensively with the offense is something good. We still have a lot of things that we can do, and we just try and take advantage of it, you know. But as far as running the ball, we still going to run the ball. I think Deshaun carried it 22 times last week. So, you know, we're going to continue to do the things we've been doing, just whatever the defense allows us to do.
Is Noah Johnson back healthy? I know people ask you this from week to week about his status. Is he back at 100%?
Well, he's still in the mix of things, and just trying to get Noah back to where he needs to be. I think that what we're doing with him now is something that helped Noah to be ready, you know, when it's time. So we're doing everything we can to make sure he's ready mentally and physically.
Coach McNair, as always, we appreciate your time, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week. We now go to Arkansas Pine Bluff, where the Golden Lions dropped a 21-12 decision to the Jackson State Tigers this past weekend, and we'll be joined by head coach Cedric Thomas. Do we have Coach Thomas on the line?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning, Coach. Thank you for taking the time to join us. If you could please start us out with an opening comment about your team's most recent outing versus Jackson State.
Playoff type atmosphere football game. Going in hostile territory, and Coach Hendrick got his guys really playing at a high level. Three-game winning streak now. We knew we had our hands full, and the atmosphere, you know, kind of matched it. It was, you know, playoff intensity, and we get out to a slow start. They got a big play on us, about 70 plus yards. Big time wide out quarterback make a big time. We go in, I think 7-0, kind of sputtering. Not really playing as well as we should, but a lot of that had to do with that Jackson defense kind of getting after us. You know, come out second half and get a little spark and kind of go back and forth. You know, we stopping them, they stopping us. You know, big play after big play, and missed a field goal, extra point. We didn't get it, and get about 12-14, and get big time kickoff return for a touchdown. Kind of sealed it, and you know, they basically just you know, did a good job keeping the football away from us, and we didn't do a good job keeping the football away from them. But kids played hard all the way to the end, and just fell a little short, ran out of time. And kudos to Coach Hendrick and that ball club, man. Those guys are really playing, you know, big-time football right now. This season kind of winds down, and we got to continue to get better. Got to continue to understand that, you know, we're no longer the UAPB of old, and there's no such thing as sneaking up on anyone. With the football team, we play 4 quarters of football. We're just not able in this league. This league too good for you not to play well in all 3 phases, you know, Saturday in and Saturday out. So we'll get back to the drawing board and get ready for a dangerous Prairie View team that's really exciting and high-powered.
Good morning, Coach Thomas. This is Mike Prince with the Open Mic. How are you today, sir?
I'm blessed. How about yourself?
I'm blessed as well, sir. Look, I know it was a disappointing loss for you now that you're refocusing toward Prairie View. What are some of the strengths that you see your team is bringing as you travel to Prairie View for this Saturday's game?
We just overall better football team than when we took this thing over. You know, kids they're understanding the why behind what was asked of them. You know, mentally, whole lot more mentally tough. You know, physical. You know, we got some kids that can make a few big time plays, but right now we gotta learn how to win. We gotta learn how to finish. Our kids, you know, at 5-2, 5-3, 5-4, had never been in this situation before. I had some seniors that had never won 5 games. So we got to understand that playing meaningful football in late October and November, beginning of November, you know, everybody's out to get you. You know, you can't sneak up on anyone. You got to play your A game. You got to be sound. So, you know, we're a good football team. We play 4 quarters on all 3 phases, and the last couple of weeks we have yet to been able to do that.
And I noticed you've been talking a lot of since you've taken over about that culture change. Is that part of that culture development to get these guys not only to buy into the program, but to go ahead and execute it, know that they're Division I players just like the other guys they're competing up against?
Yeah, that's it. And our teaching is a lifestyle, and not only just the football part, but these degrees you're gonna get from these institutions is just as just as well also. So we're not gonna take a back seat to anybody in no facet of this football nor institutional component. So that's it. And like I said, my team hadn't been playing meaningful football in the beginning of November. It's different. It's totally different when you come in and you're 2-8, you're 2-7. This time of year as opposed to being 5-3, 5-4. So they understanding that now. Going playing a good Jackson team and also a good Grambling team, and Prairie View gonna be the exact same way. It don't get no easier. So we'll get them mentally prepared for it, and we'll go down and get prepared for a good football team and a good fight.
Thank you very much, Coach.
He plays in that game on Saturday night. Talk about their ability, other than the big plays they allow, to really contain Jackson for the most part.
Coach Bradley and them guys defensively, they doing a good job. And kids, starting to understand what's expected of them, just from a schematic standpoint. They're doing a good job of getting the laptops and watching film and trying to stop some of these good offensive mind. And Jackson got a lot of weapons over there. You see him put a bunch of points up in the last couple of weeks. And for the most part, we did a good job of slowing them down, but it just wasn't enough. You can't give up 70-yard plays against anybody in this league. It's hard enough to score as it is, but to give up big plays is just, something that's not in our DNA. So we got to make sure we understand each play as we talk about playoff football. It counts. We got a pick in the end zone that we dropped to hit a kid right in the hands. You got to make that play. You got to make that play. And so we constantly remind them, hey, look, this is what we plan on being as we going forward, in this program. So, hey, let's take all these situations and don't forget them, but make sure that we capitalize on them going forward.
Coach Thomas, when you look at Prairie View on film, from an offensive perspective, obviously they've been a team that's been able to score some points this year. If you had to name just, 2 or 3 takeaways that you think will have to happen for your team to be successful, what would those be?
We got to stop the explosive plays, to watch Mr. Tucker, man, develop in this league is really awesome. We got a chance to play Tariq, in the Celebration Bowl, and, he puts you in the mind of that, coming in undersized, probably didn't have a whole bunch of offers just because of his status, but to watch that kid develop, get stronger, be able to stay strong in the pass pro thing, be able to catch the football, be able to get yards out the catch, man. That's what this league about. I don't know if that kid would have had any other chance to play Division I football just because of the size and stature, but the kid hard, man, to just watch him grow and develop is a great testament to that institution, man, and Coach Dooley. But that's one, and then we got to tackle. You got Morton who just, he just obliterated us last year. He just ran all over us, but that was not having a strength and conditioning program as such, and he made us, he made that well known. So we got to tackle the football in space. We got to stop Mr. One and them explosive wide out. So our guys, we got our hands full dealing with that offense, man. They won in the league in a lot of categories for a reason, and Coach Dooley always done a great job, with the schematics part of it. So we got to get in the lab and we got to figure out, what's going on and try to come up with a good game plan for our kids.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time on the call, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week. We now go to the Grambling State Tigers, where GSU defeated Texas Southern there for homecoming by a score of 55-21. With that, we'll be joined by head coach Fobbs with Grambling State. Do we have Coach Fobbs on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you so much for joining us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent win over Texas Southern.
Well, it was a really good day for football, really good weather. I thought, of course it was homecoming and had so many, friends and family and alumni back here in attendance, and it was good to see all of them. And but it was also equally as important and good for our players to play this game with great focus with all of the distractions and everything that was going on. So I thought we got out to a fast start, made some plays, made some big plays, kind of made so many plays that defensively it kind of put us on our heels a little bit. But that has a lot to do with, Texas Southern and their offensive firepower as well with their skill guys. They really did a good job of keeping us on the field and attacking us. But I thought, creating turnovers and intercepting passes, really, helped us and allowed us to really, kind of spin the field and lean the field in our favor.
Hey, Coach Fobbs, good morning. This is Charles Edmonds from WPRL. How you doing?
Hey, Charles. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, Coach. I know a few weeks ago you were begging and pleading, someone please take this starting quarterback job. Somebody step up and be the guy. With Higginbotham 5 total touchdowns on Saturday, 3 running, 2 passing, has he now solidified himself as being the starter at this point?
Well, that's not really, our focus. Our focus is just to play whoever we need to play in order to win football games, and that's just what we, plan to do. He had a big week last week. Was very, very impressed with his performance last week. But we also need consistency, and that's something that we're working on as well. So. At this particular time, he has the nod, but we're going to always go with whoever is playing, the best football.
What's been the improvement in his game the last several weeks? What's improved in the way he's doing things the last few weeks? UAPB and then obviously Texas Southern.
Well, I think this past week I thought he did a much better job of being decisive with the football. Once he focused in on his reads and saw what was happening defensively, he knew exactly where to go with the ball, and that's the thing. That's the most important thing, for us is to make sure that that you're decisive in your approach with what you do.
Well, Coach, as Alcorn comes to town, this is a big game in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. What do you see in this Braves team offensively and defensively?
Great football team. They've been great since I've been here, at Grambling State University. They, very, very physical, big up front, really disruptive, do a really good job of getting after the quarterback. They'll mix in some 4-down, 3-down stuff to bring pressure. Really good in the secondary and at the linebacker level. You can definitely tell that, their coaching effort, their kids are running to the football extremely well. But then offensively, they got playmakers. They got guys that can throw it, they can run it, they can catch it, and then they can block. So when you mix in all of that, you have a really good football team. And Coach McNair has done an awesome job since he's been there. And it's definitely going to be a fight.
What do you see in the quarterback in Felix Harper? What do you see in his game that could pose some problems for your defense?
Well, same thing as, everyone else does. He has the ability to throw the football and run the football and doesn't make mistakes, doesn't turn the football over. And that's the key to it, and then he allows his playmakers to make plays, and they do a really good job of putting them in position, to make plays.
Coach, your team has won 4 in a row. What's kind of been the common thread in this 4-game winning streak for you?
Just being ourselves. I've been in situations like this before, and our staff has been in it before. And you don't panic. We don't concern ourselves with the weather. We don't concern ourselves whether it's raining or snowing or if it's sunny. We're going to continue to do our job the same way. And I think to me that's the blueprint of success is being who you are, but looking at what you're doing and whatever you're not doing, try to change it. Whatever mistakes you're making, try to correct it. And that's the only way I know how to do things is to put my head down and keep working. And and you have to live with the results, when you work hard like that. And to me, that's all you can do. And even if you're, 8-0 or what have you, you still have to remain humble and conduct yourself a certain way where, your focus is, on the next opponent. And, what are you not doing well? Because even when you are, on that level where you're undefeated or what have you, there's still things that you're not doing well. And the goal is perfection. That's always the goal, even though you probably will never reach it, but that's always the goal that you work towards.
Coach, one more question for you. I know offensively you've been putting up points, Higginbotham's doing this thing, but defensively you had 5 interceptions versus Texas Southern. You got 13 interceptions on the season. You just talk about your defense and how they've been able to create havoc.
Well, our defense and Coach Todd, they've been the staple of our program since we've been here, the 6 years we've been here. They've been very, very consistent, and they've turned people over on a consistent basis. They've been a really, really stellar at stopping the run, but then they've also done a good job in the passing game. And I think, we're doing what we have to do with what we have. You have so many guys out, you have to make adjustments and do different things in order to, try to be successful. And, I think our defensive staff and really offensive staff as well have done a really good job of that. And that just has to continue. We have to play a certain way. We have to play with a certain level, effort-wise, and that's what we just try to ask our kids to do. And for the most part, they've done a really good job of that.
Coach, good morning to you. This is Ty Miller calling. Coach, I know you take one game at a time, as most coaches tell us each week, but you have a gauntlet of games coming up. Is it difficult keeping the players up emotionally for the games that they're playing coming down the stretch here?
No, it's just the opposite. We've been in playoff mode since we were 0-2 in conference. So every week it's a playoff game for us. So we have to be up. That's just the way it goes. The game is the game, and every week you're playing against a stellar football team. When you look at every game across the conference in the league, it's all being decided by turnovers, mistakes, and execution, and everyone is right there. So when you look at all of that, you just focus on your team and you focus on the psyche of your team and try to make sure that you can execute, make sure that you can turn people over, and make sure that we're playing the game and thinking the game at a high level.
And, Coach, having basically 3 straight home games, kind of count the Southern game as a home game as well, how important is it to have home field advantage at this point when you're vying for that conference division championship?
It helps, but playing on the road and playing at home, it's the same thing, really. Really and truly, it's, yes, there's some familiarity with playing at home, but it's less distractions on the road. So to me, it all depends on the type of team you have. Do you have a mature team, or do you have an immature team? And to me, that has a lot to do with, the effects of what playing on the road or playing at home does for you. Because there are some teams that thrive on being on the road and everyone, throwing cups at them and talking noise to them. There's some guys, some teams that are not mature enough yet to handle that. So, it can go either way. So, for me, my focus is never on that. My focus is on, what happens between the lines and making sure that us that are outside of the lines are doing what we need to do in order to affect what's going on in between.
And finally, Coach, in black college football, we don't often talk a lot about recruiting around this time of the year, but how important is it in games against marquee teams like Southern and Alcorn State that your young men that you're currently recruiting see how good your team fares against these type teams?
Well, I think it's big. I think it's important. I think what's equally as important, of all of the bells and whistles that go along with recruiting, is also what you're doing schematically, because I believe kids have to be able to see themselves in your scheme regardless of what you're doing in all 3 phases. And if they can't see themselves, in your scheme, then you're probably not going to get that kid regardless of what other things you have, bell and whistle-wise. And I think, just look at, a program like an LSU. They're one of the premier programs in the country. Now all of a sudden they've made a switch offensively, and now every receiver and quarterback in the country has LSU on their agenda. And I think it has a lot to do with, schematically what you're doing that sells your program as well. Because let's face it, kids are wanting to be successful. They're wanting to be successful early, and they're wanting to have an opportunity to play on the next level. And that's just the goal for those kids.
Coach Fobbs, as always, we appreciate your time, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week. We now go to Jackson State, where the Tigers got a big win there at home, defeating Arkansas Pine Bluff by a score of 21-12. With that, we'll now be joined by head coach Hendrick with Jackson State. Do we have Coach Hendrick on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you for taking some time out your busy schedule to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening comment about your team's big win there at home over Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Well, just as in every game that we played, it was a hard-fought game. Pine Bluff did a great job of hanging in the game with us and playing and making plays in the passing game. I was really pleased with how our defense played. We've been upticking over the past couple of weeks on defense, and we had a really good defensive effort. We kind of shut their running game down, which hindered them a little bit, which we would not have given up some of the long balls we gave to them in the passing game. But we ended up making enough plays, and then that big kickoff return in the second half really propelled us on to the victory.
Good morning, Coach Hendrick. This is Mike Prince with the Open Mic. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing real good. Look, what a difference a few weeks make, right? 3 wins in a row, a couple of overtime thrillers. What would you say was the turning point for you and your team to make this run that you've been making of late?
Well, Mike, what's got to happen on your way to learning how to win, you've got to learn lessons. You've got to learn that I can do this in order to be able to do it. And I think the biggest turning point in us was playing our game against Valley and getting down 21-0 and coming back and winning that game in overtime. I think was a turning point for our football team, because that was a lesson. They had to understand I can get down in the game, but it could be down 14 points. And if it is 14, that's a stop and a score, and now it's a one-score football game. And you can't get discouraged when you get behind on the scoreboard. And, and some of the other lessons is that we can grind it out with people and win. We can win games in overtime. And we've learned those lessons. Even in our losses, we've learned some lessons that I think lead to you winning. And I just believe that our kids are learning those lessons now. And now with learning the lessons, our talent, that talent that we have on the team is beginning to take over.
Now, Coach, it's obvious that you've been playing inspired ball. Do you believe your team has played its best game yet, or there's still more out there on the table to be achieved?
By no means have we played that. We have not played a game yet where we're clicking on all cylinders. Where the defense, the offense, and the special teams are clicking all cylinders together. If we get that, we'll be a pretty formidable football team.
Okay, and as far as your opponent this week, what do you see some of the keys and that you're going to have to execute on your side and then prevent on the other side?
Well, they're a good football team. I believe they're the second leading offensive team in our conference. They do a great job. Their quarterback does a great job of being accurate and completing balls. Their receivers do a great job of running routes and catching the balls. And then they have a big back who bangs on you. So to me, it's like I always tell our kids, the first thing we need to do is make sure that we don't allow them to run the ball on us and make them have to play a complete passing game. Then that allows you to do things to help try to minimize some of the passing things that they do. And, and we've got to do a good job on our side of offense of making sure we maintain the ball, keep their offense on the field. We're going to have to be able to run the ball against them and make sure that we don't give them a lot of possessions. We've got to try to shorten the game, I believe.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Coach Hendrick, if you could talk a little bit about the impact of Josh Littles as it relates to your special teams returns unit?
Well, Josh Littles is a little guy, diminutive guy that we have in our program that has great speed, and he's really been for us this year in the kickoff return game and in the special teams. And we would love to be able to get him on the field and a running back, but we've got so many other guys that are playing in that position that we can't get him the carries that we'd like to get him as running back because he's a pretty good running back also. But what he's done in the special team game has been invaluable to us. And that kickoff return he had against Pine Bluff was the sealer for the football game for us. And we're glad we have him. And hopefully, as we go forward, we'll be able to get him some minutes and some carries as a running back.
Coach, that actually kind of was going to lead me into my next question. I know it's a crowded back for you guys. Clark had a good game against Valley. Littles obviously has some talent. Just how big of I know it's a good problem to have, but just how big of a challenge is that for your coaching staff, just figuring out how to divvy up those touches in your backfield?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's helped us, and this sounds weird, is that we've had some injuries back there. And so it's because some of the guys have been injured at a point, it's really made it easy for us because this guy might not be available for that game or this guy game. So that's helped us. But having them all healthy is a problem, but it's a good problem to have because whether it's Tyson or Kamani or whether it's Jordan or whether it's Keyshawn or whether it's, we've also lost Quentin Brown to knee surgery for the year. No matter who it is we put back there has been productive for us. And so I think it's a good problem to have.
Coach, last question for me. I was listening to a former player, or actually a current football player on the professional level, talk a little bit about defining moments and the importance of, having those moments in a season where you can kind of put things all together. If you guys are able to keep momentum and playing like you've played the last few weeks, how big do you think, and not putting any win over the other, but just from a defining moment standpoint, how big of it would it be in totality what you guys were able to do to come back and win that game against Mississippi Valley, and which has kind of started this latest swing of momentum for you guys?
To me, it was the changing point in our season. Our guys, we've been preaching. The one thing I like about our kids is that we were 1-5 at the time, but they still practiced. They still gave this effort in practice. They still had good attitudes. And you need something good to happen to our football team. We went up to Valley. Valley got up on us 21-0, and our kids stayed resolute. They never stopped believing, and things started to click for us. And when you can come back from 21 down, it really surge notice to your football team. Hey, we can do some things when we're behind and come back and beat somebody. And that one thing I think has shaped what's happening to us right now.
Coach, this is Ty Miller. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
In your 4 conference games, it seems as if you've really had attention to detail, particularly when it comes to not hurting yourselves with penalties. Can you speak to that? And also speak to the fact that once you get the ball, you seem to possess it. And if anyone saw the Ravens game last night, that was a big part of them beating the Patriots. And how key is that for your team?
Yeah, well, the time of possession is important as long as you don't let that other team score fast. So, and I think the thing that's really helped us, and we had some problems on defense. We played good defense around here for the previous 3 years. And we've had some problems on defense, not because of talent, but because of placing new people into the defense and them not completely understanding what we do on defense. And now that they understand where they sit and what they're supposed to do, that's helped us. And it started actually started the game before Valley, where we started to play better on defense, and I could see us growing. And now I think we're back to being in a place on defense where we need to be in terms of fitting up right and understanding. I think that's big for us. And then we're moving the ball on offense. We're getting people free and out. We're making people punt on defense. And then on offense, we're getting first downs when we get the ball. You know, and that's all I ever want on offense. The guys, you know, we may not score every time we get the ball, but if we can string a few first downs together, then punt the ball down there and play field position football, eventually we'll get a short field and put ourselves in position to win. And I think that's helped us as we move forward. And we've been like that for a good portion of the year. We've been with time of possession, but now it's beginning to work out in our advantage.
And checking the standings, Coach, as you look at the East race, the loser of this game really be on the outside looking in. Have you guys looked at it that way as well?
I haven't thought about it. You know, I mean, we're playing one game at a time. I know it's cliche, and I know that's coach speak, but, you know, when you're trying to build a culture and take a program and build it into from being down to bringing it back up, you know, the things that you got to worry about is in the moment. What's in the moment for us now? You know, this game is big in terms of it allows us to get our record back to even, it allows us to get back to 500. And, you know, after that, it becomes an Eastern game, and it's another game to win. And we just need to keep winning because every game we play now is playoff. You know, if we want to have an opportunity to win our side, we're going to be in the playoffs every week. So, but I never talk about that with the team. I'm sure they look at it because they're smart and they understand the magnitude of what's going on. But I never deal with that because the most important thing for us is that we chase after being as perfect as we can, and hopefully along the way we can become an excellent football team.
Coach Hendrick, thank you so much for your time, sir. We look forward to speaking with you again next week. We now go to Mississippi Valley State, where the Delta Devils dropped a 27-0 decision to Alabama State, and we'll be joined by head coach Dancy with Mississippi Valley. Do we have Coach Dancy on the line?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you so much for joining us. If you could, please start us out, Coach, with an opening comment about your team's most recent game versus Alabama State.
I didn't think it was our best efforts, but like I said, Coach Hill came in with a motivated team. Those guys came in and played hard from, you know, so the kickoff started. But I thought our guys competed hard. First quarter was you know, it went just like we expected to go. No team could score. You know, both teams trying to control the clock and put themselves in, you know, good field position to capitalize on the score. And I thought they did that the second quarter when, you know, we turned the ball over and we gave them field position, and then they went right in to score. Had a big field goal right before the half to put them up 17-0, and we just offensively we just couldn't capitalize on nothing. Whether it was running or throwing, we just had a hard time of, you know, capitalizing this week, and just hats off to the Alabama State did a great job of controlling what we love to do, and we couldn't get nothing done against them.
Coach, if you could kind of just take a little while. I know we talk about him. Seems like every call when we go back and we look at the stat sheet and kind of assess what your team was able to do defensively. But Tracy Tompkins, just another eye-opening game. 11 tackles in total. 7 of those were solo stops, and then he had a season-high 3.5 tackles for loss with the forced fumble. If you can just touch on that performance and just talk a little bit about what he's done throughout this entire season.
Oh, man, it seems like you said, every week in and week out, he's been making plays for us. Like I said, man, he's a guy who's been in his program 4 years, been a 4-year starter for us here, and just an excellent young man, a great young man, but fits the scheme perfectly. He plays our outside linebacker position, star position, where you know, that's a position where he has to make a lot of those plays, and when his time is called, he just makes the play, and he's been consistent with that throughout the whole course of the season. And also, you know, with our defense playing well, you know, he is that guy. He is the leader of this defense, and keeps our guys going. But overall, just a great young man, and like I tell him all the time, good thing happens to good people, and that's what he's been doing for this season, and hopefully he can continue to, you know, help us, you know, not this weekend but next weekend against a good Grambling football team.
Coach, I know you have the bye this upcoming week. You know, outside of, you know, the traditional getting healthy and kind of giving your guys some time off, what are you hoping to accomplish with this week that you have off?
Just to practice, man. I tell you what, the last 2 weeks has been raining so much, throughout the Delta. I know, and with all this rain, man, we've only had really 1 day of practice last week to get outside. So that's one thing that I know we cannot do, and that's practice. Practice is very big for us, and when we can't practice, you can see results like this, and I've seen it throughout the course of the game. What 1 day of practice can do to a team, and especially when you rebuild, and man, you can't afford not to go a day without practice. So the thing, just want to get out and practice, get out and run around, throw some balls around, and get back to developing good habits and fundamentals and techniques. I know we're talking about the latter part of the season, but, there's always work to be done in those areas. And when you miss a week working on those areas, it shows. So we just want to get back to the fundamentals and being able to get out and run around and practice again.
Coach, my last question for you, you already kind of touched on it, but can you preview for us your upcoming matchup against Grambling State?
Oh, man, a team that's right now is on a run. They're a championship caliber team with a great head football coach. So, they're going to be ready, and we just have to be prepared and get our guys prepared the way that we've been preparing. But a magnificent football team. You talk about Grambling, man. You talk about years of Grambling. That's it's like one of the prestigious schools in our conference. So, they're going to come in high, and they've been on a winning streak. They've been rolling. And so we just got to be prepared for what we're going to face against them. A great defense, as you know, and now offensively, as you can see, throughout the course of weeks, they've been putting up numbers. So, they, just getting adjusted. And we just got to play a good football game and to beat a great football team.
Currently taking questions for Coach Dancy with Mississippi Valley State.
Coach, this is Ty Miller. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Coach, have you talked to your team about the goals for the rest of the season, particularly how you could be a factor in the conference race, playing like Grambling in 2 weeks?
Of course, they know every game is important. Especially these last 2 ball games, man. We want to do something that hasn't been done around here in a long time, and that's win 4 games. No, we don't want to look too far ahead, but they understand what's at stake. We want to send these seniors out the right way, and like I said, man, when you rebuild, and anytime you can do something good that hasn't been done in a while for this program is a good thing, and we just want to sit like I talk to them all the time. It's about doing the right things. I know that the season hasn't gone the way we want it to go when they're talking about the win column, but I've seen a lot of improvement around. I've seen a lot of good things that this class of seniors has helped us accomplish so far throughout the course of this year, throughout the course of this season. So we just want to finish strong and have a great mind and a great attitude about going to work every day and win these last 2 games for these seniors.
Coach, what you've done so far, has it resonated with young men you're recruiting and trying to think about turning their attention to going to Valley?
I really hope so, Ty. We can, having these last, 4 games at home been a blessing to us. We've been able to get a lot of recruits on campus and going out and showing and putting on a good show for these guys and letting them know and letting them understand that it's a different Valley, that things has changed, and hopefully we have grabbed attention to some of those young recruits and young men out there that you come here that this program is on the rise. So just giving us an opportunity to recruit you and to come to this school, you making a good decision.
So, Coach, thanks a lot and good luck going ahead.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Tom.
Coach, if there are none, as always, we appreciate your time on the call, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week. We now go to Prairie View A&M, where the Panthers had a bye week this past week as they get set for their big matchup at home against Arkansas Pine Bluff. And with that, we'll be joined by head coach Dooley with Prairie View A&M. Do we have Coach Dooley on the line?
Yes, good morning. How are you doing?
Hey, great, Coach. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us on the call. Coach, if you could please just start us out, just kind of recapping your team's bye week last week.
Yeah, I came off a hard-fought game against a good Jackson State team that's playing well right now, and had to go back and do some things that we know that needed to be done. The kids fought hard. They played for 60 minutes, and they left it all out there. Just unfortunate that we didn't come away with the victory. But this week here, we were able to, cover two things. We were able to get the rest of their bodies that was well needed, and also to go over just some basic fundamental things that I thought that we just had to go back and bring up again. So I thought it was a good open date for us, and now we just got to move forward to finish off this season.
Good morning, Coach. This is Mike Prince with the Open Mic. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing real good. I heard you say about getting guys rested up. Is there an update on Jalen Morton's health, and will he be ready to go on Saturday?
Yeah, he's coming along pretty good. You know, the good thing about it, having that open date, you can just do more, just the rehab things of that nature to get him get treatment, things like that. So it wasn't a huge thing. We wanted to get him some rest because it's been a tough season for him as well, you know, for us going in and out. So he is running and doing some good things. So we feel good about where he's at right now. We just got to just continue to work him and see how he responds right now. He has another opportunity to get some treatment in today because on Mondays is not a day that we pretty much go out and work out. Those guys get an opportunity to get to their classes because of Monday being an off day. So just to give him another day, and then hopefully tomorrow when we go out for a good work day on Tuesday, that he'd be ready to go.
Okay, and with that being said, Coach, had you been working in I guess the other rotations for the quarterback, in particular the freshman Shane? Will he see any action, or are you going to still just kind of play that one by ear?
No, I could say I'll be straightforward. He probably won't see any action. We do have two guys that we know that backed up Jalen that we feel real comfortable with right now and have a little bit more experience and want to see where they are as well. So those guys have been getting a lot of the reps in practice thus far.
Okay, and I know you got 3 games, but 2 conference games. The goal is to win all the games. What has been your message, and what has been the morale of the team, missing the mark on a couple of opportunities, but knowing there's still some football left to be played?
Yeah, you know what? I like the energy and enthusiasm by my football team. You know, those guys from day one they set out with a no quit attitude, and they understand the magnitude of where we are, what kind of hole we dug ourselves in. But those guys are just fighting. You know, they're just fighting to continue to compete at a high level and give us a excellent opportunity to perhaps have a winning season.
Okay, you're going to be facing a motivated team as well in Pine Bluff. I know you got history with Pine Bluff, and Cedric Thomas is dealing on building the culture. What are going to be some of your keys for success this weekend, and what are some of the things that you know that beyond a shadow of a doubt you can't go to sleep on when you face the Golden Lions?
Well, you know, you're talking about the team that's playing with a lot of confidence right now and that's playing well and actually having a good season so far. So our thing is right now just to play a disciplined and sound football. We got to be able to play for 60 minutes. We got to be able to execute in all 3 phases of the football game and play at a high level. We got to be able to start fast and finish strong. So it's some things that we've been working on throughout the week that we know it's going to be a huge challenge for us facing the Pine Bluff team that has a real good offense and playing sound defensive-wise. So we got our work cut out, but, just like any other time, we accept the challenge.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, you touched on it earlier. Obviously, still a lot to play for in this season. You play a Pine Bluff team that is striving for their first winning season in quite some time. If you had to take away or just say some key takeaways of what you guys need to do against them to be successful, if you were just naming 2 or 3 of them, what would those be?
Well, of course, offensively, we're going to have to be able to operate and execute and be able to run the football. There's no question about that. And I think defensively, with what they have coming back on offense, we're going to have to be able to stop the run. There's no secret to that. That's in every football game that you play. You've got to be able to stop the run. So those are some of the challenges, and we got to play sound special team-wise.
Coach Dooley, as always, we appreciate your time on the call, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you next week. This past week, the Southern Jaguars got a big win there at home over the Alabama A&M Bulldogs by a score of 35-31, and with that, we'll now recap that win, and we'll be joined by head coach Dawson Odoms. Do we have Coach Odoms on the line?
Yes, this is Coach Odoms.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you for taking some time to join us. If you could please Start us out with an opening statement about your team's big win there at home over Alabama A&M.
It's always good to get a homecoming victory, a hard-fought football game. Coach Maynard, he's one of the better offensive-minded coaches in college football. He always got some stuff up his sleeve. He do a great job of scheming and personnel to get his guys in position to make plays on offense. And I thought they had a great game plan. They moved the ball, glasses as advertised. I mean, he's one of the better quarterbacks in our conference. He does a great job of spreading the ball all over the field. But I really thought it was a football game was going to come down to which defense was going to be able to make a play because both offenses can score. And we were fortunate to move the ball and put some points on the board. A back-and-forth football game. It was we score, they score. They made a stop to go up 31-28. And then I really thought the biggest play was a kickoff return that set up our offense with good field position to go down the field with about 4:12, 4:20 on the clock. And then they go down the field and score the go-ahead touchdown. And then they get the ball back and they start moving it down the field. We're able to make a play on defense to win the football game. But it was a highly competitive football game, a lot of ups and downs, just a grit win for us, just willing ourselves to victory. And that's down the stretch in November. You're going to have to play really, really good football because a lot of teams that you're going to face are in the hunt. So you got to make sure you're playing well in all three phases. And we did not, and still were fortunate to win a football game. But offensively, I thought Ladarius Skelton was as advertised, and that's the guy we have been looking for all year. And finally, he showed up and played a really good football game for us and helped the Jags on the victory.
Thank you so much for that, Coach Odoms. We'll now open it up for questions for Coach Odoms with the Southern Jaguars.
Hey, Coach. It's Jim Kleinpeter. I was wondering if you discovered something since that game that clicked for Ladarius, the game plan maybe, or what was it that got him going the other night?
Well, I just think they did a great job of just putting the game plan together to focus on his strengths. And, he's one of the better dual threat quarterbacks in our conference. And, it was great to see him have some success. But I really think it's just a combination of things, him playing well, him preparing well, and then preparing a game plan for his strengths.
Would you talk a little bit about it looked like you've kind of added Jamal Washington to the running game even more so than the past. He's part of the option attack now. Would you talk about that little adjustment that y'all made?
Well, it's the same. I just think he's a slot receiver. We send him in motion every now and then, and it's a read play for us. And Ladarius does a great job of reading it, and he's the pitch option of that phase. So he's doing a great job of keeping the relationship, locking in and focusing. And once the ball's in his hand, he's one of those playmakers that can make a play.
And Hunter Register has come on strong in the last couple of weeks. Would you talk a little bit about his improvement and development?
Well, you want that out of your seniors. I think once you get into the month of November, they start realizing that the time on this clock is ticking down. And so they're coming out with a little bit more focus, playing with a little bit more sense of urgency. And that's really the challenge to our team in the month of November. And Hunter Register is up to that challenge. He's preparing himself the right way. He's practicing with the right energy. And when you do those things, you give yourself a chance to be successful on Saturday.
What kind of plans do you have for the pass defense? I mean, y'all going to tear it down and start over, or y'all going to? Is there anything you can do there? Just keep sawing wood.
Well, the biggest thing with pass defense is you just got to look at what you're doing and look at who's doing it and figure out which one is the issue. And that's what we're working on, and guys are working on it, been working on it, and we'll try to come up with the best plan possible to give these guys a chance to make some plays. Then it comes down to confidence. To play in the secondary, you got to have swagger. And regardless what happens, you can't lose your swag. And confidence is something that goes along with swagger. So no matter whether you make a play, whether you drop a ball, whatever it is, you got to keep that swag, and you got to keep playing the next play. And it's all about confidence. As long as our guys go out there and practice and play with confidence, then it'll carry over into the game.
Well, Coach, what kind of approach are you going to take on the game this week? You're facing a team that hasn't really had a lot of success. So they're 0-7, and it's a non-conference game. You approach it any differently? You're going to try to do some things a little differently?
Just try to get better each and every week. Try to focus on going 1-0.
Datrell Brumfield, would you talk a little bit about him? You mentioned him the other night. You've been playing him more. Has he been showing up in practice better?
Yeah, Broomfield's doing a good job for us. He got a chance to start Saturday, stepped in and made some plays, and we're going to see how he continues to develop down the stretch. But, some of that's part of that pass defense struggle is just getting some guys in there that, don't have a lot of game experience, getting them coached up, put them in the right position to have an opportunity to make plays. And he's one of those guys we've given an opportunity to, and he rose to the challenge on Saturday.
Coach Odoms, as always, we appreciate your time, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week. Last week, the Texas Southern Tigers dropped a 55-21 decision to the Grambling State Tigers there on the road, and with that now, we'll be joined by head coach Clarence McKinney. Do we have Coach McKinney on the line?
Coach McKinney's on the line.
Thank you so much, Coach, and good morning to you, and thank you for taking some time away from your schedule to jump on the call with us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Grambling State.
Went to Grambling on last weekend and lost a tough game. The score doesn't show exactly how hard our guys played. But when you look at it statistically, offensively, we had 34 first downs, over 600 yards of offense. But defensively, we've talked all year about not giving up the big plays, and big plays have hurt us. And when you have 600-plus yards, you expect to have more than 20 points on the scoreboard. So we didn't take care of business when we had our opportunities to score points. Another tough outing for our kids, but they continue to show up each week and give us everything they got and play hard to the very end.
Clarence, Tony Paul with the Detroit News. Good morning. I'm just kind of reaching out a little bit here. I'm kind of curious about Donnie and the season he's had. I guess if you could just touch on what kind of player he is and what kind of expectations maybe you had for him before the season, and has he met up?
Donnie's a special player. He works extremely hard. He's one of the first guys in, the last guys out. When he came in here, we had no real expectations of what he could do, but he showed us through his work ethic that he was going to be a special player to have on our team. And each week he's met the challenge of double teams and guys knowing that he's the leading receiver in our league. And they're putting their best coverage guys on him, and he's stepping up and answering the challenge.
How did he end up there? How did that process work? How did you find him, I guess?
A good question. As far as I'm trying to think back. I have quite a few friends that are in the Detroit area that have relationships with those kids in that area. He was just one that was brought to me by a guy who trains kids in that area who thought that Texas Southern would be a good fit for Donnie.
Do you remember that person's name?
I don't want to say who it was and be wrong because multiple people involved in helping us get Donnie. And it didn't hurt that one of Donnie's dad's high school teammates coaches in the Houston area.
Okay. What kind of obviously the stats are impressive, the numbers are great. What kind of kid has he been off the field, on the field, as far as does he take on the leadership role? Is he quieter, or what is he like in that regard?
He started being the quiet guy and leading by example, doing his job and coming to work every day. Lately, he's been more vocal as far as his leadership goes.
but he's a kid that has come in and done everything we've asked him to do. I mean, we're talking about going to class, going to study hall, weightlifting, practice. He's early for everything, and he stays late. And he's just been a tremendous person to have around.
What's the ceiling for him? I mean, he obviously started in the Big Ten. It kind of had some backtracking in that regard. What's the ceiling for him? I mean, as far as his future in football.
I think he's a Sunday guy. I think he has the skills and the ability to play at that level. I think he has the work ethic. I just think he needs an opportunity to show those guys that he's a talent that deserves an opportunity to play at that level.
Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, tough season for you guys. How has he been through that, through the losses? Has it not changed? Still the same kid?
He's still the same kid. He wants to win as bad as anyone. And he continues to come to work. He continues to show up. He tries to motivate his teammates as best as he can. And he tries to make plays when we ask him to make plays.
Good morning, Coach. This is Mike with the Open Mic. How are you today?
Good. How's it going, Mike?
All right, going real good. Well, it's obvious that the wins and losses have not measured up to what you wanted to in this first season. But could you kind of expound on what have you learned about yourself through this trial, and what have you learned about your team?
As far as myself goes, I know I need to do a better job of coaching. I don't take winning for granted. So I'm just using this season to better myself as a coach. But as far as our team goes, I'm most impressed with the way our team has showed up each week and competed for 60 minutes. And there's not one kid that we can say went out and quit at any point throughout the season so far. And our guys are hard workers, and they're fighters, and they're not quitters.
Now, Coach, would you be able to expound a little bit more about when you say on what you could do to become a better coach?
Just, the things that we've been doing consistently to lose ball games. I need to find a way to correct those things. The turnovers, the not finishing in the red zone, the giving up the big plays defensively. Just finding a way to eliminate those errors and help us become a better team.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach, and good luck on the rest of your season.
Thank you, Mike.
Coach McKinney, as always, thank you so much for your time, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. This now concludes our head coach's teleconference for Monday, November 4th. As always, the latest updated information about all sports, including SWAC football, please visit us online at www.swac.org. Once again, thank you to all our media that jumped on. We look forward to speaking with you again next week. Have a great day.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.